Welcome back, everybody. Today we're going to take a look at the middle colonies, and we're asking how did these middle colonies add to the diversity of the colonies? So, let's review a little bit what we've learned. We've got three basic colonial regions, okay? We've got the New England colonies, we've got the southern colonies, and then we've got the mid-Atlantic or the middle colonies. Okay, so the New England colonies we know are settled mainly because of religion. Okay, people are looking for freedom of religion, but we know that's kind of a misnomer because most of them are going for freedom to practice their religion. And then some of the other colonies, such as Rhode Island, are going to split off because they didn't kind of go along with the program of the Puritans, right? So then we also have the southern colonies, who are profit-seeking, plantation-based agricultural economies. In the middle, we're kind of going to go in between those two extremes. We are going to have some commercial agriculture. So there is going to be some things that are going to be produced in the middle colonies that are going to be for export to England. But you're also going to have some larger farms. The farming is going to be somewhat better in the middle colonies because you do have somewhat better climate and soil than up in New England, but it's not going to be as good as in the South. So we're getting out of the production of tobacco, and we're getting more into livestock. In fact, you know what? Let me go back and let me bring this up. This would be a good time to look at our maps, because there was a map in here. Where is it? Geography. There we go. Use maps. Okay, let's take a look. Perfect. Okay, agricultural regions. So up here, right, New England is mainly hay and dairy farming, right? And you're going to have some of that in the Middle Atlantic too. That's going to continue. But you're also going to start to see mixed crops kind of creep up in there, okay? And we have some woodlands and forest up there. There's going to be a little tiny bit of tobacco crop farming in southern Pennsylvania, but not much. We have some fruit production in New York. New York's got some great apple orchards and things like that. And then we get some wheat production in Pennsylvania in the southern tier of New York right here. Okay, so that's kind of a good overview. Then we get into the upper South. We have a lot of mixed crops. We have some tobacco farming in there. And then, well, we haven't got really cotton yet, but when we get into the South, we're definitely going to see the deep South here. These are going to be the cotton-producing regions, but this is really tobacco, cotton, and cash crop country down here. All right, so remember, there is a direct line. I want you to keep the geography in mind. Okay, geography is super, super important for the early development and the character of the colonies. Up north, okay, we know it is religious, but they're going to settle there because that is land that is not too great, okay? It's land that's not in heavy demand, so the Puritans go there because they want to be left alone to practice their own thing, right? You can have small family farms up there, but you got to work hard at it. You got to really take your time, put your effort, and break your back into that land. The South is very fertile, and that's where the commercial agriculture is. In the Mid-Atlantic, that's where we're going to see some of the mixed crops. All right, you know, let's take a look at the climate. Yeah, okay, precipitation. Okay, take a look at this map. Take a look at this map. You're going to see it's the same map, right? This down here is the cotton belt. There's the tobacco belt. This is your mixed crops, and up here in not so much, right? And that's the same map, okay? It is the same exact map. You see the differences, okay? Here are the middle colonies right in here. Here's the New England colonies. Here's the southern colonies, okay? Water and heat make good farmland. That's where the cash crops are coming out of, okay? And guess what? You got all those cash crops. You need a labor force. Bingo! You see how this works, okay? Notice how there's almost no slavery up here. There's some. Okay, slavery is going to be legal in New York State until 1827. There is some, but notice how down here, that's right, it's the tobacco and cotton belts. That's where we have the slave labor. That's not a coincidence. This is geography. Okay, so we're talking about the characters of the individual colonies. I want us to keep in mind that geography is going to play a big role in this. Okay, so we're looking at the middle today. We're looking here, so we're going to have somewhat better farms, but we're still not going to be there. Let's talk about New Netherlands, or New York. The Dutch were the ones that came here. And that's right, New York is Dutch, and let me just pull something up here. Okay, no, I don't want that. Okay, all right. So take a look here. We're going to go to New York flag. Okay, let's take a look at the New York flag. No, New York City flag, not New York State. Okay, let's take a look at the New York City flag. All right, that is the New York City flag. You see that windmill? That's because it's Dutch, okay? This guy here is a Dutchman making a pact with the Native Americans for the land. The red, or the blue and orange, those are the colors of the Dutch, okay? In fact, let me pull this up. Let's pull up a flag of the Netherlands. Okay. All right. That's like a different orange. Okay. But you see, it's the same thing. Okay. That's because New York, New Amsterdam was originally founded as a Dutch colony. Okay. It starts with a Dutch explorer by the name of Henry Hudson. Does that name sound familiar? Absolutely. The Hudson River. 1609, he was sailing aboard the Half Moon. He sailed into what he considered to be the greatest harbor, the greatest natural harbor ever in the existence of humankind. He immediately claimed this land for the Dutch. And the Dutch are going to come out here and establish the Dutch West India Company. And in 1624, they established the colony of New Netherland. That's where New York gets started. Okay, so Henry Hudson settles this. The Dutch West India Company comes in. The goal is for quick profit in the fur trade. Beavers were really, really big here. In fact, if I go back to that New York City flag, let me bring that up. Bring that back up. New York City flag. Our history is right here. You see that right down there? That's a beaver. That's a beaver. Okay, so the Dutch came over here. Oh, and that's a trapping device right there he's got in his hand. So they're coming over here, and it's going to be a fur colony. The fur trade was very big. The beaver pelts were all the fashion, all the rage in Europe. Everybody wants them. It's something you can make a lot of money doing. So the Dutch settle that. They see the potential for a harbor. They bought the island of Manhattan from the Lenape Indians, who were part of the Algonquin or Delaware people. They bought it for the famous 24 guilders, which equates to like $60 in current days. Now, I should say this, okay? Even though they bought the land, there's something that we have to know about this. Native Americans did not have the same idea of land ownership as Europeans. Native Americans thought that the land was something that was given by the gods or God or nature, and it was something that nobody could own. Everybody could use the land. The land was necessary for life. You cannot own something that is necessary for life according to a lot of native thought. So they had no conception that one person could own land. So when the Europeans, when Peter Manuet came and said, I want to buy this island from you, and he had a bunch of trinkets and stuff like that, the natives are like, well, yeah, you can use it, but anybody can use it. But we'll be glad to take your stuff. They didn't understand that the Europeans, once that they had that deed, then would back it up and they would defend that deed with, guns and everything else, causing more conflict with the Native Americans. All right, so it's going to be a company town. It's going to be the Dutch West India Company, and it's going to be no religious tolerance or free speech. Okay, very harsh governors such as Old Pegleg Peter Stuyvesant, Stuyvesant High School. These guys are going to be very, very notorious, and that's going to cause a lot of trouble because even back then, New York is going to be very, very different place. Let's talk about the harbor of New York. Let's talk about the island of Manhattan. This is a horrible map. Let me find a better map. find a good map. Okay, this is good enough. All right. Here's a map of New York City today. This is what makes New York such a great, fantastic harbor. Okay? Now, we have the island Long here. Long Island, Brooklyn, Queens. Okay? We got Jersey over here. This is Staten Island. Jersey's over here. Okay? You see this here? This is the Narrows. That's where the Verrazano Narrows Bridge is right now. All right, so Henry Hudson on the Half Moon sails into this, comes into here, he comes into, so he's kind of coming into a bay right here. A bay is good because the water is calmer here. And then he sails through the Narrows and he comes and he's like, oh wow, there's a second bay up here. Very calm water because we're isolated from the ocean, protected by the islands of Long and Staten. So he comes up and then jutting out into this bay is a pointy island right in the middle of it. And on top of that, not only do you have easy access to the ocean, not only do you have calm waters here because you're isolated from the bay, you also have a river right here and a river right here. So you can come in via the Long Island Sound, service all of the Connecticut shoreline, have another access point into the city, and on top of that, you have another river up here, the Hudson River. You can take all the way into Hudson Bay in Canada. Okay, this is going to be one serious system, and this basically is the greatest natural harbor in the world. Nature really kind of shined on this with Manhattan Island. Okay, instantly the Dutch are going to realize, wow, okay, this is a great place to build a city. It's isolated, it's got easy access, and they're going to build it. And what they build is going to be the settlement of New Amsterdam. It is going to be on the tip of Manhattan Island. Okay, it is going to be bordered at Wall Street. It's called Wall Street because they had to build the wall. Well, they actually had slaves build the wall because they pissed off, they made angry the Native Americans, and so they kind of had to build a wall to protect themselves. Anyway, the Dutch are going to be ruling it for a while. There's going to be some massacres with the Indians. They're not going to play nice with their neighbors. But more than anything, they didn't really build this up to its potential. Okay? So it's going to languish for a while. It's not really going to get any bigger. It's just going to be a bunch of fur traders. They realized almost instantly that, hey, this is a great place to build a harbor. But it's not going to grow. Okay? And it's... on top of that, it's going to be diverse. Here's Old Pegleg. That's Peter Stuyvesant. He was the governor. Yeah, he was really not so nice of a man. Pretty angry guy. Well, I mean, if you lost your leg, that would kind of do it. But all right, so the English already were half the population of the New Netherlands, and the English. There were so many of them here, they kind of saw the Dutch as intruders. I mean, there's English colonies to the south, English colonies to the north. What are the Dutch doing here? They're not even doing anything with the place. It's not growing. It's great land they're on here, and it's not work. So, Charles II, who was the King of England, gave the area of New Netherlands to the Duke of York. Now, mind you, he gave something that wasn't even his to begin with because it was the Dutch. Anyway, the Duke of York said, okay, no problem. He basically takes a squadron of ships, sails it into what is now Manhattan Harbor, then it was the New Netherlands Harbor, and basically went to Old Pegleg and said, surrender. And Old Pegleg said, crap, we're outgunned, okay, you win. And that's how the English got New York without firing a single shot. So New Netherlands becomes New York, and the rest is history. Okay, then let's talk about New Jersey. All right, they were like a lesser New York even back then. Okay, so King James gave two of his friends, Lord John Berkeley and Sir George Carteret, a section of New York located between the Hudson River and Delaware Bay in 1664. Okay, so Berkeley said, the area of New York is just too big to administer, so he split it in parts, And then we have New Jersey that's created. So, yeah, New Jersey, they wanted to be New Yorkers even back then. You know, New Jersey's kind of like always been this bedroom community for New York. It's basically New Yorkers that just aren't good enough to live in New York. Don't tell anybody from New Jersey I said that. They won't like it. Okay, next. Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania is different. Pennsylvania are going to be Quakers. Okay, Quakers are religious dissenters. They are going to be very, very open-minded. Quakers are going to be a very tolerant group. They're going to basically welcome people that nobody else would welcome. These guys are really going to be instrumental behind the ideas of freedom of religion. So why did the Quakers come here? Because they didn't like to pay taxes to the Church of England, and they didn't like to take loyalty oaths because they felt nobody should be loyal to anybody but God. They also refused military service. They were kind of pacifists. The founder of Pennsylvania and the Quakers is going to be a guy named William Penn. And Penn's family basically was owed money by the British Crown. So the British Crown didn't want to pay him money, so instead they gave him a bunch of land in the New World. They gave them what is now known as Pennsylvania. Penn governed the colony, and he was basically kind of unusual as a proprietor. The big thing here is the Charter of Liberties, okay? The thing with Pennsylvania is it welcomed everybody in there, okay? So it's not just going to be Quakers. We're not talking about another New England, all right? Pennsylvania is going to actually be very different. They welcome everybody. They even welcome Jews. There's fair treatment to Native Americans. This is really going to be the one place where everybody's kind of welcomed and open in the 13 colonies in the beginning. And that's going to be really important because Pennsylvania is going to be the place where the First Continental Congress is going to be, and that's going to be the place where the Constitution is going to be written. The document that guarantees our freedoms is going to be written in this original land of freedom. So that's going to be something that we want to consider as we go forward. Okay, let's move on to Delaware. All right, so basically, William Penn granted the 3 lower colonies of Pennsylvania to basically set up their own assembly, and the governor was the same in Pennsylvania until the time of the American Revolution, but that basically spawned off into Delaware. And yeah, there we have it. So these are, that should round out our 13 original colonies, except Georgia, which is a prison colony. But there we go. So go back to your, this is our screen again here. So Connecticut, New Hampshire, okay, Delaware, right there. You got everybody there because we've got to remember it's Pennsylvania, and Pennsylvania is welcoming everybody into that. New Jersey, right there, okay. Spun off from New York, Pennsylvania, everybody's welcome. All right, so let's go back to our focus question. To what extent were the British colonies diverse? Okay, by diverse, okay. Today we talk diverse meaning like skin color and heritage. You're diverse if you have Hispanic, Arabs, black, white, purple, red, all in the same room. Okay. Now we can think about diversity in those terms during the colonial period too. But I also want you to think about diversity in terms of religious diversity. What kinds of different people were living together, and are these going to be the type of people that were living together in Europe at that time? Because I want us to think about this, because diversity is one of the hallmarks of American society today. And do we see evidence of diversity even back during the colonial period? All right, so that's the question you want to chew on today. Look at that, we came in short today. What do you know? That's a bonus, 19 minutes, 19 seconds. All right, everybody, have a great day.